Now, the grand jury, we learned that was going to come today, the grand jury decision. And we see that did happen at 1:30. And here are the final results. So these are the three guys who were all involved. Brett Hankison, so this guy who was on the outside, so these two guys go in. This is Sergeant John Mattingly. We just read his rambling email. He goes in, he gets shot. Miles Cosgrove is also part of the entry crew. He starts firing back against Breonna Taylor. And then Brett Hankison is on the outside of the building, and he fires back a number of times. Now, his bullets go into the apartment, but we don't know, we're going to get into this, some of the ballistics, whether or not this guy actually hit Breonna Taylor. We know without any question of a doubt, according to the Attorney General and the FBI, that Miles Cosgrove, his bullet was the one who actually killed her, but she was shot 6 times. One of those bullets is accounted for here. Where are the other 5? Have those been accounted for? We don't know. So we know Brett Hankison hit or fired off 10 bullets into the apartment, but we don't know whether any of those hit him or hit Breonna Taylor or not. That being said, Brett Hankison has been charged with 3 counts of what's called first-degree wanton endangerment. The judge set the bond at $15,000 cash. None of the 2 other officers were charged with anything. The only person who was charged was Brett Hankison, who's a former detective, and he was indicted because the grand jury listened to everything that they heard, and they decided that his action of just firing off 10 rounds wherever he wanted to just was something that is reckless, because the bullets went through the walls and it basically entered another family's apartment. There were 3 individuals in the family, and when I was listening to the judge do the indictment or do announce the indictment from the grand jury, they only used their initials, and so the story came out that it was a husband, wife, and a kid. So they were in the line of fire from the bullets, but they didn't actually get hit. So this is what Brett Hankison got indicted with. And this is what the actual statute looks like. So we pulled this from Kentucky, and wanton endangerment in the first degree. It says a person is guilty of wanton endangerment in the first degree when, under circumstances manifesting extreme indifference to the value of human life, he wantonly engages in conduct that creates a substantial danger of death or serious physical injury to another person, Class D felony. Wanton is a really old legal term. We've seen it around a lot. Sort of a good synonym to wanton would be like recklessly. So it would be like, waving a gun, doing something so reckless, so egregious, such a disregard for the safety or well-being of the value of life that conduct enters, that stage. And wanton endangerment, I think, is the absolute minimum of what this guy should have been charged with. So Daniel Cameron came out today. He is the Attorney General in Louisville. We've got a bunch of clips from him. So he made the announcement today. Let's take a look at what he has to say. This is a Class D felony. He's going to tell us. He's also going to tell us that, we learned that there is now a 72-hour curfew in effect now, Wednesday night, from 9 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. It was announced, so I think, right after this next clip that we have. So let's hear from Daniel Cameron. Now, he picks this up saying, I explained this a little bit previously, but he starts this clip saying that the feds are actually investigating the warrant portion of this case, but they are going to, we don't have any results from that right now. So let's listen to what he has to say.
LMPD's Criminal Interdiction Division. Federal law enforcement partners are conducting that investigation. Sergeant Mattingly and Detectives Cosgrove and Hankison had no known involvement in the preceding investigation or obtainment of the search warrant. They were called into duty as extra personnel to effectuate the service of the search warrant. They only had information conveyed to them during their prior briefing. Evidence shows that officers both knocked and announced their presence at the apartment. The officers' statements about their announcement are corroborated by an independent witness who was near in proximity to apartment 4. In other words, the warrant was not served as a no-knock warrant. When officers were
So that goes on, and one of the New York Times reporters asks him, they said, hey, we canvassed everything, and we didn't see that this was a no-knock, or we didn't have anybody corroborate that. So they go around, they ask everybody in the apartment building, hey, did you hear the cops come and knock? Did you hear them actually announce themselves? And they couldn't find anybody. They've got one witness who says that he heard something, and we'll take their word for it. All three of the cops, though, it's important to note from that clip, they had no involvement in the underlying case. So that was the key thing I wanted to highlight there. He says that all three of those cops, they were not involved in the underlying case. They had nothing to do with the warrant. They were just assistant bodies who were basically executing the warrant. So they were showing up at her apartment, and they didn't really even know why they were there, other than they're executing this warrant, is what he makes it sound like. Now, because the feds have the warrant investigation underway, that is going to be forthcoming. What happened with the warrant? Why were they at Breonna Taylor's and Kenneth Walker's house to begin with? So we'll get more information about that. But all three of those cops, from my understanding of it, it sounds like they didn't even really know why they were there or what they were dealing with, other than executing the warrant. Also sounds like they got a briefing, but nothing really substantial.